The school year is on the home stretch, so we check in with Dr. Jon Milleman for episode 210. The Lebanon Community School Corporation Superintendent recaps the school year and updates us on current construction progress. What other updates are in store? Dr. Jon fills us in. Episode 210 of the Love in Lebanon podcast starts now.
Welcome to the Love in Lebanon podcast, highlighting all the great things happening in Lebanon, Indiana. Have an idea for an episode? Send an email to loveinlebanon@lebanon.in.gov.
Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 210 of our Love in Lebanon podcast. Joe LePage here, the City of Lebanon Communications and Community Development Director. Man, how time flies. We are almost to the end of this school year, and to give us an update, we have Dr. Jon Milleman here, Lebanon Community School Corporation Superintendent, here on this episode of the pod. Dr. Jon, thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Always a pleasure.
And you weren't busy at all, so it didn't take any work getting you in here. It's not like you have several schools under construction and so many things going on.
No, it's my pleasure. It's good.
Working out with your schedule, it has been fun, I'm guessing, but at the same time,
it's exciting. We have a lot of exciting things happening, but it's neat when you're building things and renovating things and there's a newness, but it's, it kind of pales in comparison to hanging out with the kids when you get a chance and the classrooms when you get a chance. So, it doesn't get in the way of what we're here for.
And I'm guessing as you visit all the various school campuses, you're seeing a lot of moving parts and some dust flying and some things that aren't where they should be eventually, but kind of knowing and seeing those pretty pictures and having some of those come to fruition has got to be nice for you.
Yes, and we're nearing the finish line on several of the projects. We will be complete with our Harney Elementary, Perryworth Elementary, the new Central Elementary will all be ready to go for the start of the 25-26 school year. And then on the last day of the year for teachers at Hattie B. Stokes, they'll be putting some things in boxes and moving around a little bit as we do some freshening up in that building and a little bit more minor renovations to Hattie B. Stokes, but it'll have the exact same finishes and touches that all of our elementaries will have. So we'll be embarking on that here this summer.
And to give you shots of confidence to kind of see some of those things, be able to check them off. Yeah, new Central, here we go. New transportation, that's going to be phenomenal for what you guys need to do as a corporation. Kind of give you shots in the arm of, yes, it's working. As some things are kind of disheveled,
right? But
these things they're buttoning up here.
Exactly. We are actually doing the punch out for the Transportation Center's office space this Friday. We still have some work to do on the maintenance bays and the parts rooms and things like that. But they fired up the bus wash for the first time last week, so that was exciting to see those types of things happening. And
it's amazing too, the will soon be former space is up for sale. Saw that, hey, if you need anyone and know anyone that has a need of this type of space, a unique type of space, but it's there.
Yeah, it can be part of the growing community here. Hopefully welcome somebody there into that space that can utilize it, and it'll make a good neighbor for our maintenance department, which is still going to be right next door to the old transportation center.
Gotcha. So as some things get checked off, we're kind of getting some things going, the wheel's starting to spin on the Student Activity Center near the high school there.
Yes.
How's that process gone so far?
We're going to have an official groundbreaking before the school board meeting on May 20th. But Student Activity Center is underway. They're moving dirt as we speak. So that will have 3 courts, basketball type courts. I say that because it's also going to be suitable for volleyball. It's going to have some ability to have a tennis court across 2 of the courts. We'll have batting cages for our softball and baseball. It'll have a 3-lane walking track around it. So our physical education, our band program will be able to use it. We're putting an observation space there for them. So our competitive percussion drum line or the color guard can use the space, and so it'll be a great community asset and help our student athletes stay competitive, as this is who we're competing with now. All of these sports are year round, and so we need to have our students in the same competitive arenas as all other of our competitors.
In your years of education, I mean, have you seen this type of thing grow? Sure. It's been mind-boggling for me growing up, and you were at the gym and you had to get gyms, and there was one, and it was cold outside, but you still have to take BP, and so that's right. Those cold hands hitting baseball was tough. But here, how youth sports especially, but then as you've gotten older, things. It's a necessity now to stay competitive.
And there's also neat though because it'll be part of the community.
Yeah,
and we obviously have the new field house in town that has their particular use, but we have a lot of youth sports in our community and feeder programs in our community. So we're excited about that, and we actually have 2 other spaces that we're adding as part of this construction project. Harney Elementary received a new gymnasium, and of course the new Central Elementary. There's going to be 2 additional spaces for our students to be able to use as well. So just really, I think just adding to the assets that our community has.
And the thing I like too, I mean, the field house is great, and don't get me wrong, but having something that's right there by the school, so your high school kiddos that after school they can have that activity type space, and it's walkable.
That's
right there, same parking lot, all that stuff.
Yeah, and we can have our freshman JV and varsity practice at the same time. Mm-hmm. So now we're not fighting for that gym space. We have students getting home earlier, maybe not coming in at 5:30 in the morning because that's when the gym's available. So, I think hopefully it'll have an academic bump as well for our students and help them, to be able to get home at a better hour as well. So it's just better for everyone all around.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody, we're talking with Dr. Jon Milleman, Lebanon Community School Corporation Superintendent, here on this episode 210 of the Love in Lebanon podcast. Now with graduation right around the corner, I'm guessing a lot of the major moving pieces for the activity center will take place post-graduation. And how will graduation be affected?
Really won't affect it. Some parking. We've taken a little sliver of parking away, so we want to have a little bit more walking distance for a few folks to the arena, but should have a minor impact on the graduation, which is the week after the last day of school this year.
Man, and that changes something that's going to be phenomenal throughout the corporation. And I wrote down here the only constant is change, and so we know that the transportation center, New Central, are going along and going to be buttoned up. You mentioned the punch list taking place at the transportation center.
Sure.
Also on my list to kind of chat about kind of the school district realignment and how some kiddos that have been going to one school just because of the growth and kind of the not disparity, but just kind of how the school corporation is laid out.
Yeah.
How things are going to be changing. Things are finalized along that route.
The board approved the new attendance zones back in January or February. So we're ready to roll. Actually, tomorrow evening will be the first session. Hattie B. Stokes is going to have 3 sessions to welcome Perry Worth families or others that may be coming to Hattie B. Stokes as part of that realignment. So they're excited to meet their new families. Primarily, it was Perry Worth and Hattie B. Stokes that were the most affected through it. We had to shift some students to one or more of either Central or Hattie B. Stokes. We do have some Perry Worth families that will be moving to Central Elementary and some that will be moving to Hattie B. Stokes for next school year. And we're excited for them to have an opportunity to meet the school administration and the teachers, and just know they'll have a great success there as well.
Yeah, and I'm guessing that's part of the process of dealing with or going through the transition and being able to kind of deal with some folks that maybe have developed relationships at the school they were previously attending and having some uncertainty about the new one. But I'm guessing that rolling out the welcome mat is a good way to help get them kind of acquainted with their new school.
They get to tour the building, get a feel for the building, talk to the staff. We've got great participation from the teachers welcoming the families. So, students are very resilient. Each school year they meet their new set of friends in their classroom and their new teachers. And we have the requirement to shift some teachers around as part of this redistricting happened as well. So some teachers may be moving with the students. Who knows? So we'll see how that all plays out.
And how I want to say challenging is it for you to have, as the superintendent of a school corporation with so much change going on, being able to pivot and be able to kind of redo things and be able to kind of make a pivot when it's needed. I mean, we were and everybody, Lauren Argate, the intern that has been great with us all year long, we were out taking drone pictures of some of the changes being made and chatting with one of the SROs there at Perry Worth and just talking about just the kind of the the challenges
Yeah.
and the great ethnic melting pot that
Yep.
Perryworth has become with
Yep.
60 some languages being
Yes.
spoken there, for
yeah,
example.
we've got 40 plus languages in the district right now. I don't know how many are at Perryworth or any one school, but across the district, I think there were 40 plus now in our languages. But yes, it's neat that the students have a diverse population, and I think it just makes the whole fabric of public schools stronger.
Yeah. And if we can kind of talk about that fabric a little bit, kind of what the future holds, and the state of the school. You shared a lot of pretty renderings and some pictures of work that is now farther along than it was when you gave that speech. Kind of looking into the future, what do you feel like throughout the summer and getting into next year, or some of these things move along? What do you feel?
Our focus will be primarily on our secondary schools, the middle school. If you've driven by there recently, you'll see the pretty major transformation of that building. The school will move into that, which you can see from Grant Street. They'll be moving into that part of the building next school year. There's 2 STEM classrooms, a new media center, new cafeteria, new office spaces, and a new entryway going into the building, which is going to allow us to not use the gymnasium as a cafeteria, but now we're going to need to use the gymnasium as classrooms. So now we're going to be working into the classroom space over the next 2 years. That is a 3-year total project. So that will take until the fall of 2027 before it is completed. Then the high school, we have not just the activity center, but new football locker rooms are being added on what was the entryway into Rosensteel Gym on the football field side. And so that is under construction as well. It's just hidden. You just can't see it as well from the parking lot, but that's underway. In the renovations to the high school back in 2010, the athletic area was not touched. So there's still 1970s fixtures, lockers.
It's antiquated for sure.
Things of that nature. So it's time for a refresh there, and just, more modern, safe spaces for our physical education, locker room spaces, et cetera. So that's going to be underway. And then we're moving into the interior of the building. The cafeteria is getting completely redesigned. Media center space is completely redesigned. So we have group study spaces for the students, a set of what we call study stairs being put in the commons area, kind of more of almost a collegiate, student union type feel in the center of the building. And then the main office of the high school will also get a little bit of a reconfiguration as well as part of that project. So excited about that. So that the high school students will have a little bit of discomfort coming their way now, and they'll have to maybe shift to another space to eat lunch for a semester or two while that work's getting done. But some very exciting transformations into that space. But our elementaries are going to be in pretty good shape for the next few to several years, and then of course monitor our enrollment. Central Elementary was designed to be expanded if needed, and Perryworth also has a design. It could be, and Perryworth also has a design that it could an additional 4 classrooms could be added to Perryworth as well. So we'll see how the enrollment pattern emerges over the next few to several years, and then who knows, we may be breaking ground again at some point.
Through this job and through being a dad as well, being able to interact with a lot of different people within the corporation throughout this construction project has been educational for me. Dealing with elementary and middle school and high school, all 3 on different campuses and things. How have you instilled kind of the embracing of the moving parts with all this? Because there hasn't been, talking about the quality of life of people or kind of what my job is about, but there hasn't been, at least on the surface, what I've seen that decreased of, oh man, we're dealing with this and it's taken a toll. Yeah. There's kind of an upbeat nature to it. Sure. And I don't know.
I think there's ebbs and flows in that. Yeah. I mean, if you're the teacher who has to move twice, it's still stressful, and we want to be sensitive to that. But no, I mean, I think we have good trade partners. We've got good construction manager we work with who communicates well with the staff and with the principals, and you can kind of see the transformation that's happening before your eyes and see the finish line, if you will. But all that being said, they've been great. The staff's been great. Families have been great. Changing drop-off patterns with the cars, drop-off lines, and just everyone's patience. I think a Harney, when I say that, it's still not complete yet. So there's still some frustrations with that. They've been great, but that said, we'll all be glad when it's over, I think.
And that was kind of what I was gonna get at here. In the future, taking a look as we give you the figurative crystal ball.
Yeah.
What does that look like as some of those things get squared away a year from now, a couple of years from now? Whether it's more minor in that a transportation line to pick up kiddos at Harney to something more substantial, like totally facelifting the entire middle school, that type of thing, and reconfiguring that way.
It's just the crystal ball is that it's just more functional. I mean, and safer. As part of these construction projects, we've moved our school police officers to the front of the buildings and the entrances. We've at the middle school completely transformed the pedestrian flow in the building. So for those who've been in our building knows that, it was a open concept building many, many years ago. And so when you close up an open concept building, you create a lot of dead end hallways, and a lot of T's and a lot of just crossing areas for students. And so the new design is essentially 3 main hallways through the entire building, 2 essentially, that are through the whole building. So now from a supervision standpoint and just from getting students from point A to point B will be better. I mean, I don't need a crystal ball to know that.
Yeah.
It's just,
Fewer turns is always nice.
That's going to be better. Yeah. And just, there'll be some elbow room and some spaces that are some flex classrooms. They're there for if and when we grow, but when we open, there'll be some flex spaces in all of the buildings. And so I'm excited to see how our teachers use, that empty classroom over there for group projects or, art projects or, whatever it might be, just story time and poetry or whatever it might be for the students. We'll have some of those spaces to be able to use creatively for a while. And that's what'll be fun for me, is to see how the staff and students use that space.
Yeah, that was my next question, actually. How do you think it's going to feel for those teachers to be able to kind of, I can reach out from side to side and not have to feel someone else or a wall or something like that? And
technology, in the middle school, each of the pods has a group area, if you want to call it large group instruction space. So you could take 1 or more classrooms out of the 4 walls of the classroom. It's more casual seating. Students can connect to technology. Nice. They can work on group projects together. Just kind of embracing, what our students do from a technology standpoint as well, and being able to share that. The high school, for example, in the cafeteria area, there'll be a small space with an elevated stage, and it'll have its own sound system and its own screen. And so, if we have college visits or just small athletic programs, awards programs or club meetings or things like that, it'll just be more of an open, collaborative space, which is what our students are going to be asked to do in the workspace as well. So it's going to mirror, what happens in their lives after high school as well. It's just a little bit, just kind of elevates the finishes of the building and kind of brings a maturity to the building, I guess, if you will. So I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Everybody, we're talking with Dr. Jon Milleman. He's the superintendent of Lebanon Community School Corporation here on episode 210 of our Love in Lebanon podcast. Later on today, Dr. Jon is a big time, an annual time, maybe even a bittersweet kind of time. It's Teacher Appreciation, the dinner that you guys are going to have, and honoring Teachers of the Year, but also, sadly, those teachers that are retiring and putting in the time and moving on to other
several
pastures.
Retirements this year. And so that's exciting for them. We're happy for them. I always congratulate the retirees when I get the letter and I see them. I congratulate them on their decision, because it's hard. Teaching is really like a calling, I think, in many respects. And we do this as a service. We're service-minded folks. That's why we do what we do. And it's hard to let go of that, because if you wait until you think you're not making a difference for a student, then you're never going to retire, because you're always making a difference for that one student. And so it's a tough call on their part, but we congratulate them for that. Thank them for all of their many years of service to our students.
And you would say that, that's part of the job. I mean, come on. But at the same time, you've developed relationships with these teachers. You've seen how they've been endearing themselves to the kids for a number of years, that type of thing. It's got to be kind of tough as you develop those relationships and make friendships and then having to understand it, but to have to say goodbye.
Changing
anyway.
of the guard, as they say, right? So we just thank them for that and wish them the best, and hope they come back and see some of this finished product that they've been having to endure.
And that's been one of the things that I'm sure that has been a challenge at times, to be able to kind of have to see those changes that are needed throughout the corporation as it's moved, and in your tenure as superintendent, and having to kind of lead the change train.
Yeah, and I think probably as we sit here and speak right now, we may have spoke about this on another podcast, but I think AI is our next frontier. I mean, and not really next; it's here. But I think that's something that we still need to address on many fronts. It is here to stay, and as adults, or as the teachers and instructors and administrators, we need to embrace AI. I'll say it better than I think we are in many cases. And our students need to understand the ethics of that tool. And it really is just another tool that we have now. There's many moving parts to AI. It's changing as we sit here by the minute. It's exciting, quite frankly. I use it. I think, we have job postings and job descriptions and things like that. We will use AI to generate our first drafts, for example. I mean, it's something that you can use for more efficiency, but you also have to understand, your ethics and,
It's not get out of jail / English paper free card.
Exactly.
Type thing,
And so how do we navigate that at our earliest ages? We're proud to be a one-to-one technology school district, but that means we have a device in the hands K through 12. So all 13 grades have a device in their hands every day. Well, not every day, but could have.
Yeah.
And, it's available every day. Certainly middle school and high school, it's every day. So we have a responsibility, I think, to continue to dig into that and use it for good, I guess, as you would say.
Absolutely. Well, if I can also tout something and someone else that's here, if you can do you see the growth in that figurative crystal ball I gave you a minute ago, the internship program within the school corporation, the wins that you've seen, and talking about the growth of our young people and things, and one of the young persons who's sitting in the room with us as we record this episode. Do you see that program continuing to ebb and flow and evolve as well?
Absolutely. I mean, it will have to under the new graduation requirements, which, as I said before this, we could do an entire episode on that. Maybe we will.
I think we should.
But a big part of that is workplace participation. And so we're shifting from what folks know as a academic honors diploma versus Core 40 diploma with Core 40 with technical honors diploma into what they're calling diploma seals. So they've tapped into 3 terms to prepare students for enrollment, which would be post-secondary enrollment in a post-secondary education program, college, university, enlistment. So for students moving into the military, and then employment. And that might be students who are going directly into the trades or directly into the workforce. And so there are diploma seals that go along with that. And there's some different requirements for that. And that's starting with this year's 8th graders. So starting with the incoming freshmen, and multiple of those lanes that students and families can choose have a workplace participation component to it by design, by the state as they designed this. So we are going to have to expand that out of necessity. Now, the reality is we're also competing for internship and placements with Western Boone and Zionsville and Brownsburg and Tri-West and Clinton Prairie and everyone in Frankfurt. And so, we're all vying for those same spots. So we're very proud of our partnerships that we have, City of Lebanon being one of them, City of Whitestown or Town of Whitestown being another. So we're very grateful for our municipalities who've embraced that, whether it be the fire department, police department, mayor's office, whatever it might be. But we're going to need to continue to foster those relationships and have opportunities for students out there. It's so important for our students to get some real world experiences and, sit in the boardroom, sit in the conference room, be part of the conversations that we have in the workplace.
And kudos to you guys in LCSC for kind of getting in front of or not being as far behind as other schools when it comes to getting kids off campus and in workplaces and being
I'll
able to
give
see.
Dr. Taylor a lot of credit for that. He really kind of set that in motion 2-3 years before I arrived in 2019 and really got that off the ground. And so then Kristen Scott took it and took it to new places. Now we have Kelly Dennis there, and Kristen, of course, still with us as an assistant principal at the high school. So we've got a great team around that and looking to grow that all the time. So if anybody's listening there and would have an opportunity to let our high school students learn from you, be part of your work environment, we'd be happy to meet with you and talk about it.
Yeah, and kudos to the folks that you mentioned being able to be willing to work with the various schedules of different, I know, departments within the city of Lebanon, but also other employers that I've talked to have had a lot of success with a lot of those folks. So we may have to do another episode on the graduation requirements because
I'll bring a team with me for that one though. I know enough to be dangerous at the superintendent level on that. It's the director of student services, Megan Lewis at the high school. It's the high school principal. It's those assistant principals and counselors that know the nitty gritty of all of that. And so be happy to bring a team and talk about it.
And that's one of those as you continue reading it and your eyes get bigger and it's oh boy, it kind of starts to spin a little bit.
Yes.
So I can see why
Yes.
bringing in a team would help.
Yes.
Yes. Makes sense of it all.
Yes.
But we appreciate the time, Dr. Jon. Thanks for being here on this episode. Congrats on another great school year.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to many, many more.
I appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, everybody, for listening to episode 210 of the Love and Lebanon podcast. More episodes coming your way soon. Dr. Jon talked about the partnership and the internships. I'll put Kelly Dennis's email address in the body of this podcast. So you can reach out to her individually and say, yeah, I have this company, would love to be able to have an intern, be able to learn and shadow and all those things. So we appreciate you listening. More episodes coming your way. Take care.